Hi, it's Ashley from AB Sound Advice. Today we're doing a product review on the Lehmannaudio Linear D Mark II headphone DAC amplifier. And wow, this is very, very cool. Now, first off, I mean, look, there's my finger and it goes all the way down there. It is one serious headphone amplifier. And yes, you can tell in my voice, I absolutely love it. So, without further ado, we'll always go through the specs first. So the specifications on this, we do get a digital input times 1 TOS link. We have an RCA 75 ohm, which in our part of the world we would call that a coaxial input. We have sample rate digital 32 kHz, 44.1, 48, 88.2, 96 and 192. So it's obviously got that. That's the DAC side. A resolution at 24-bit. Chipset is an ESS Sabri K2M, analog filter, silver micro capacitors, and a max output voltage of 1 VEFF. Input impedance 47k ohms, maximum gain 0 dB, 10 dB and 18 dB, 20 dB switchable. Frequency response is 10 Hz minus 0.3 dB to 35 kHz minus 1 dB. The signal to noise is 95 dB at 0 dB gain, and we've got a total distortion of 0.001% at 6 MW at 300 ohm. Stereo separation at 80 dB / 10 kHz. Output power 400 MW 60 ohms and 200 MW 300 ohm. We also have an impedance line out of 50 ohm, headphone out 5 ohm, power consumption 13 watts, and we've got the connector of the 6.3 front, and we have parallel line out, so you've got 2 outputs and gold plated connectors, and dimensions 110 by 280 by 44 and weighs in at 1500 grams. So if you haven't heard of Lehmannaudio, German brand, another high quality product from Germany, and this is totally awesome. I mean, you don't hear me say that often, and the reason being, again, I have played with a lot of headphone amplifiers, and wow, this really was a head spin. So let's just go through. We'll just take a long walk along the headphone amp. We'll come down the back end. You can see down here we've got a input right, left. Underneath we've got optical in, digital in, and 2 left and right outs on the back. You can see obviously all my test cables that I use for headphone amplifiers, and we've got the power switch just inside there, which you just flick on like so, and we come around the front, and wow, I've got to be honest with you, and again, I've got to say a big thank you to Norbert from Lehmannaudio for the fantastic advice he gave me. He's part of the reason why we are using such a different set of connections, and you'll see over here, these two especially, they run across into a USB. You can see that I have all my cables tagged, so I've got them dangling down. I can plug them into what I want, into my USB 3. And I had this question about balanced versus non-balanced cables and connections, and Norbert is very, very experienced when it comes to this, so thank you very much for the intel that you gave me. Now, before we go into answering some of those questions, inside the box, wanted to go through, they provide a brochure on the product and information on the back. You can also see those mounting brackets, so they can actually be, if you wanted to, you can install them under your desk. And they provide a warranty sheet, which you just fill in, and an envelope is provided for you to post that back. They also provide a booklet. You can see there headphone amplifiers, and it goes through all the sound pressure levels. And what I thought was very cool, it does list off all the brands of headphone amplifiers and all their different specifications. Obviously, you know, this level, he's got all the information on the various brands. So also the owner's manual, and again, a nice serious book. You certainly wouldn't want to throw this at somebody. It is a very heavy, high quality owner's manual. So let's get into it. Now, I ran this headphone amplifier through everything. Now, what was unusual for me, as I've mentioned, it at this price point in our part of the world is around about just over 4,000, and that'll change depending on where you live. But for our part of the world, I mean, that's what we deal in at the prices we pay in our part of the world, what it compares to at our price points around here. And for the prices playing at, this is probably one of the best headphone amplifiers I have heard. And that absolutely surprises me to make a statement like that because, again, I've only got my 6.3 outputs. I don't have a balanced out. And if you listen to Norbert being a specialist, and I would just about nearly call him a scientist when it comes to headphones, he's been in this for a very, very long time, and he explained all the things that, well, especially like I mentioned with the RCA cables to USB, he was talking about, obviously, he's an old guy like me, obviously I'm from the turntable days, and I understand the turntable sound. And what we've got here is we've got a headphone amplifier that when you're using a USB to RCAs, you're simulating effectively an analog sound of what you'd expect from a turntable, and it's a very different sound. And then, of course, you can see the other cables I've got plugged in there. I'm using the DAC Magic from our friends at Cambridge Audio as a secondary test. And then, of course, I'm using the DAC and built into the actual Lehman unit. And when you actually do all the comparisons, this is just outstanding. I mean, really, what you just only need to buy this Lehmannaudio Linear D Mark II, and you've pretty well got it covered. I mean, if you're not looking, if balanced is not really on the list of things you need, this is fantastic. And I don't really know, when I started to at this level, when I started to do comparisons, balanced versus the 6.3 on this Lehmannaudio, you really would struggle to, I mean, most people who listen to this who know what I'm talking about, they know that balanced has its unique sound. It has it's an instant change, you can tell. But here's a situation where this amplifier really is making that a little bit nullified, really. So I really, really got to say, if you're looking for a high-end headphone amp, DAC, and you're happy to run a, you can, as I said, you can use a, well, I guess the other thing I bought here, I've actually bought a USB analog USB converter that converts it into a digital out, and also a fiber optic in. I've also, as I said, I've used external amps and external DACs, sorry, an external DAC, not amps. And when I compare all the different sounds, he's 100% right. When you actually run the USB into RCAs into his headphone amp, it is a sound that's really hard to explain. It's like going back in time and somehow turning digital music into a vinyl sound, which sounds back to front, but wow, very enjoyable. And even when I was doing digital inputs to this, it just manages it so well. So the bass, the depth, the mid is just, the voices are engaging, and you just feel like you're there amongst in the studio where they're putting this together, or in the live environment that they're playing the music in. The top end is analytical, it's precise, it's not fatiguing, so it's got all the things you'd expect at this level, but plus some. So it really, really top-notch amplifier. Absolutely love the volume control. If you could only feel that, it is, you just feel like you got something special. It's a massive amplifier. I mean, shivers, it's longer than a large foot. It's a serious event, but it's just worth every cent that you would put into buying one of these. It is an absolutely sensational headphone amplifier. And if you'd like to find out more information about the Lehmannaudio Linear D Mark II, you can duck onto hifihq.com.au for Australia, or hifihq.co.nz for New Zealand, and the information will be there. And of course, you can also just search up Lehmannaudio in your local country, and you should be able to find somebody to help you. But if you are looking for a headphone amplifier, and you are playing in the $5,000 price point, and again, in headphone amplifiers I've gone right through to $15,000 is where I've topped out on my headphone amps, and wow, this is sensational. It really caught me off guard, to be honest with you. You can imagine I get sent things all the time, and you hear what they say, and you think, okay, and this is a product that when it arrived, wow, I've got to say 10 out of 10, Norbert. Everything you said it is, plus some. And again, thank you for sharing some of the connections and the ways that you wire up things. That was hugely beneficial for me. I'm always looking for new ways to do things for myself personally. So a big shout out to Norbert from Lehmannaudio. So again, if you're looking for a high-end headphone amplifier, and the other thing I do like, 2 outputs. If you're sharing with a partner, you can both plug in and listen to the same music together. And again, even though I've talked about this being a headphone amp, of course it can be used to add to your audio system. It really is a fantastic product. German quality, sound is sensational. As you know, I don't rate things 1 to 10 or 1 to 5. Would I own this? Outstandingly, definitely yes. I don't want to give this back. I want to keep it. And unfortunately, it's like everything. You can't keep everything. I already have a wild collection, and this would just, this is a very hard give back. I'd probably have to swap something else out of my office and slot this in here, and that would be very easily done. All right, guys. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's product review of the Lehmannaudio Linear D Mark II. And again, thank you for supporting the channel. And again, thank you for tuning into AB Sound Advice.